Welcome to Body and Mind. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how meditation will affect masturbation, how meditation will affect your sexual life. If you are masturbating, if you masturbate, there is nothing wrong with it. All right, just be clear with it. There's nothing wrong in meditating and masturbating. If you are a beginner, all right, there is a natural tendency, it's a human tendency to masturbate. There's a hormonal thing which goes on inside you, and you are gonna masturbate. All right, so a lot of people will tell you when you get into this journey of meditation not to masturbate, don't do that, it's wrong, they're going to give you long lectures. But masturbation is your natural tendency, and masturbation will not happen in this third state where the mind is not involved. All right, so I'm going to get into that later, but first, if you are a beginner, if you're masturbating, what you need to do is a clear observation of the meditation. Once you start to observe yourself, you will understand what's happening with you. Okay, so that's where you begin. And if you are masturbating and meditating, there's nothing wrong. Keep doing it, but observe, be mindful of each activity and each action that you're doing. All right, and don't decide on what others say, decide on your true, authentic, true self. All right, what's happening within you. All right, so let's talk about these three states, and these three states will give you a clear picture of how this masturbation is totally gonna go away. Okay, so let me give you this picture. Okay, there's three things that will happen to you. One is the imaginary state or mindlessness. One is the mindfulness. All right, the third one is no mind. All right, there's no mind involved. This other third state that you will reach at certain point of your meditation journey, or certain point in your time when you actually meditate more and the years passes, you will reach into this state of no mind, or just energy state, where the mind is not involved. And when the mind is not involved, there is no masturbation happening, there's nothing happening, you're the form of energy, that's it. All right, let's talk first about mindlessness. All right, the first thing. So when you are in this mindless state, or in this imaginary state, so I'm gonna give you a positiveness in this too. All right, being in this imaginary and mindless state. So when you are in this imaginary state, you are not in the present moment. Your mind is either in past or future thinking, or it's creating some images in your mind which is out of reality. All right, and this image is created by your mind, and it's making an impression of this imaginary state as reality, and then you're going to masturbate, or you're going to have sex in this imaginary state of mind, or mindless state. When I say mindless state, you're not mindful, because you're not in this present moment. You're not aware of the senses, or you're not aware of the air that you're breathing, you're not aware of the sounds that's going on around you. You are out of this reality, right? You're in this imaginary state of past or future, where you're creating the images and you're masturbating, or you're having sex with someone. So you are in this mindless state. All right, now in this mindless state, there is a positiveness where you can do, where you actually, when you masturbate, actually you can imagine the positiveness of whatever you're imagining. If you're imagining with a person and then you're masturbating, you can imagine that in a positive manner. You can imagine that in a positive energy manner, where you vision that you're having sex with this person. Whatever you're imagining in this mindless state, you can actually imagine in a very positive way and positive manner, and then you can masturbate. All right, but mindlessness is not good. Okay, keep that in mind. But in order for you to transform from mindlessness to mindfulness, meditation is the key where you're going to transform from mindlessness to mindfulness. Now, when you are in this mindful state, you are aware of the environment, you are aware of the surroundings. Okay, your mind is present. Your mind is not in the future or not in the past. So when you are indulging in masturbation, you are indulging with your body. All right, you come to your senses. Now, this mindful masturbation, you are not used to it. You are always used to mindless masturbation where you imagine or you see something and then you masturbate. You're not programmed or you're not used to mindful masturbation. So it's going to be hard for you to do mindful masturbation. So if there's a question like, how can I masturbate mindfully? It's going to be tough because you're not used to it. So once you practice, because it might take certain time, maybe months or an year or whatever, to get into that mindful state of masturbation, right? When you do this mindful state of masturbation or mindful state of sex with some person, you are actually very involved and you are actually giving your whole thing to that person. You're very mindful, and actually you'll be more in the form of energy transformation, or because you're more involved in that present moment and it's more focused rather than focusing on something else. And this mindful masturbation and mindful sex will actually, if you're doing mindful masturbation, it will actually help you to bond within yourself. If you're doing mindful sex, it will actually help you to bond with the other person, and you're gonna, this is really healthy relationship either with yourself or healthy relationship with the partner that you're indulging sex with. All right, so I explained to you mindlessness, mindfulness. All right, there is a third state that you're going to encounter, which is called as no mind. So when there is no mind involved, you are just an energy. Now, I have experienced this state, being just an energy where there is no thoughts, just energy, just pure energy. And I cannot share my experience with you, but once you reach there, you'll understand. You are just energy. There is no mind involved. And when there is no mind involved, you cannot picture something or you cannot be in a mindless state or a mindful state. Only with your mind you can be in a mindful state or a mindless state. With no mind, it's a different state. This is a state, the energy state, where I'm not going to go too much deep into it because it's going to confuse you, because you're not exposed to that state. The only thing I can say is when you are exposed or when you experience the no mind state, the mind is gone. And when your mind is gone, you're not mindless or you're not mindful. You're just a form of energy. Okay. Now, if you ask me, like, I'm in all these three states. Okay. And this no mind state, I'm getting into this state recently. All right. Recently, after being meditating for 4 or 5 years now. When I started it normally. Then I gradually increased it. Now I meditate on a regular basis, and I've been experimenting with different techniques, and I've been regularly performing meditation. So I could reach, or I could experience this no mind state. And I could tell that when you are in this no mind state, where your mind is not at all involved, that's when the sexual thing is totally gone out of your system. All right. Now, but me, I'm in this mindless state, mindful state, and also I'm experiencing no mind state. When I'm in this no mind state, there's no body, there's no mind, it's just the energy. Okay. Now, this video, I want to help you to give a clear picture that when you're mindless, there are chances that you're going to masturbate. Even when you're mindful, there are chances that you're going to masturbate, you're going to indulge in sex. Okay. Now, when you are in this no mind state, you're in an energy form. When the mind is out of the picture, that's when You cannot think about anything. There's nothing to think about. The mind is gone. Okay. Now, as a meditator, now you're gonna hear the stories about don't do sex or do sex, or like you need to do mindful sex, or you need to not. So a lot of people are gonna give you a lot of things because they haven't experienced this third state. All right. So for me, I'm juggling with all these three states. So once you are given this clear picture, be true, be authentic. All right. Don't get into this theory, like imaginary state where someone says something to you and you're gonna hold on to that. Be true to yourself. If you want to masturbate, masturbate. There's nothing wrong with masturbation. If you want to do mindless masturbation, do it, but do it in a positive. Think about positive things. You shouldn't be doing masturbation which is going to affect your work, it's going to affect your studies. You shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be doing masturbation if it's affecting your career, if it's affecting something. You shouldn't be doing that. Okay. Now, this mindless masturbation can be done in a positive manner where you think about positive things when you're actually performing masturbation or sex. Okay. Now, the mindfulness is more good for you. As you meditate, you get into this mindful state. You will get into more of becoming aware of now and here. Okay. Now, as you meditate more and more, you're going to get into the state where there's no mind. Okay. Now, if you ask me the question of whether should I masturbate or shouldn't masturbate, then it's up to you. It's up to you. If you are mindless, you know that you're mindless and there's hormonal thing which is happening and you're going to masturbate. When you're mindful, even then the hormonal thing will happen and there's a rush, and even then you're going to masturbate, you're going to have sex. All right. When you are in this no mind state, you don't have to think about anything and nobody have to say you anything, because you're in this form of energy state where the masturbation is not going to happen. The sexual thing is not going to happen because there is no mind involved. All right. And be true. Like, can you be in that no mind state all the time? When you are in this no mind state, when the mind is not involved, and when you become this energy form, you can become this energy form as you are living and breathing. Okay. And when you become this energy form all the time, then probably people, they say that's enlightenment. Probably that's enlightenment, I guess. It's just a word, a term, but what I can say through my experience of this meditation, when you are in this state of just energy, then the mind is not involved, and then you're free of everything. You're free of sex, free of women, free of sexual desires, free of everything. But be true to yourself. Don't get played by words or theory. All right. People are going to tell you a lot of theories. Don't do this, don't do that. But be true to yourself. If you're mindless and masturbating, nothing wrong with it. If you're mindful and masturbating, nothing wrong with it. When you naturally become the form of energy, when there is no mind involved, you're going to naturally not indulge in any sexual activities until and unless you reach there naturally. It's going to take time for you to transform and become into that state of no mind. So don't worry about it. Okay. Be true. And when you masturbate, okay, think it as a pure thing. All right. And observe what's happening. Clean observation. Now, there is a clean observation of mindlessness, mindfulness, and no mind. So that's why I could explain you, I'm in all these three states. All right. I'm in the transformation phase. I haven't been transformed to this state of no mind all the time. Okay. And most of the people living, I think that they are either in this mindless state most of the time or mindful state most of the time. And mindful state most of the time are the very, very less people, okay? And there will be even less people who are in the state of energy form where there is no mind involved. So don't worry, okay? People are going to say a lot of things. If you masturbate, see the transformation. Are you transforming? Is improvement, okay? If you are, been watching porn a lot of time, there is a decrease. As you meditate, there will be a decrease. There is a decrease in your watching of porn. It's gonna go away. As you've been doing a lot of mindless masturbation, it's gonna go away. You're gonna do mindful masturbation, okay? And as you progress this journey, what will happen is eventually you're gonna become this form where there's no mind, okay? But let it come naturally to you. Don't force yourself. Don't force yourself when someone else is saying something to you, which is not your true reality. Be true. Be true. Be true to yourself. Be authentic. That's what I'm saying. All right. If you are in a state where you are, being mindless for a certain number of years, maybe 10 years, 20 years, right? And suddenly you started meditating, there is no way you're going to become mindful all of a sudden. So the transformation is gradual. It's going to happen to you, right? So keep observing what's happening. Keep observing your transformation. As you observe more and more, eventually you're going to become to this state where you are just an energy and there is no mind involved, all right? So hopefully this video helps you. Hopefully this video will give you a clear picture of what's happening, okay? And be true to yourself and keep observing, all right?